Captain Jake Morrison sat in the dimly lit communications room, now watching the screens that showed Earth's first lie to the galaxy. His fingers drummed against the metal desk as the fake distress signal prepared to broadcast across the stars. Jake had been part of this secret project for 3 years now. Ever since Earth's scientists had cracked alien communication codes, the recording booth was small and cramped. Commander Lisa Hayes stood behind the microphone, her voice shaking with practiced fear. She had rehearsed this performance dozens of times, making sure every word sounded like genuine terror. Lisa was actually one of Earth's toughest military officers, someone who had survived combat missions that would give most people nightmares. This is Commander Lisa Hayes of the Terran Research Station. She spoke into the microphone, her voice cracking at just the right moments. Our world is killing us. Massive storms, deadly predators, toxic atmosphere in some regions. We don't know how much longer we can hold out. Behind her, Lieutenant Mike Anderson was trying hard not to laugh. He covered his mouth with his hand, his shoulders shaking silently. Mike had grown up in Alaska, where temperatures dropped to minus 40 degrees in winter. The idea of calling Earth deadly was hilarious to him. Just yesterday, he had gone swimming in the Pacific Ocean during a thunderstorm for fun. Sergeant Amy Collins stood next to Mike, biting her lip to keep quiet. Amy was from Texas, where she used to hunt alligators with her bare hands as a teenager. She had once survived being struck by lightning twice in the same day and considered it good luck. The thought of aliens feeling sorry for humans living on dangerous Earth made her want to burst out laughing. Jake watched his team work and felt proud. For 50 years, Earth had been secretly listening to alien radio signals. Humans had learned about the Galactic Council, their laws, their fears, and most importantly, their weaknesses. The aliens were soft, living on gentle worlds with perfect weather and no real dangers. They had never faced anything truly challenging. The plan was simple, but brilliant. Make the aliens think humans were weak and dying on a horrible planet. Let them come to rescue the poor, helpless Earthlings. Then, when the time was right, show them what humans were really capable of. It was the greatest military deception in history, and Jake was proud to be part of it. Lisa finished her performance and stepped away from the microphone. "How was that?" she asked, wiping fake tears from her eyes. "Perfect," Jake replied. "You sounded terrified of a light spring rain." Transmission shot out into space at light speed, carrying humanity's lie to thousands of alien worlds. Within hours, it would reach the Galactic Council headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a peaceful planet where nothing dangerous had ever happened. The first alien to receive the message was Dr. Flowerpod, the Council's chief expert. On dangerous worlds, Dr. Flowerpod looked like a giant tulip with legs and had never seen anything more dangerous than a butterfly. When the human distress call reached his office, he nearly fainted from shock. "Emergency meeting," Dr. Flowerpod called out, his petals trembling with fear. "We have a code red situation. There are creatures trying to survive on a Class 12 death world." Council members gathered quickly in their safe, padded meeting room. They had never dealt with anything like this before. Most of them came from worlds where the biggest predator was something like a rabbit, and storms meant light rain that lasted for 10 minutes. "These poor creatures," whispered Council Leader Softshell, a being that looked like a walking marshmallow, living with massive storms and deadly predators. "How do they even sleep at night?" Back on Earth, Jake watched the alien response signals pouring in. The aliens were panicking, just as planned. They were organizing rescue missions, sending their best diplomats, and preparing to help the dying humans. None of them suspected that Earth's humans were actually the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Jake smiled and reached for his coffee. It was going to be a very interesting few months. 3 months had passed since Earth's fake distress call, and now the moment of truth had arrived. The alien ship Harmony looked like a floating crystal palace as it slowly approached the outer edge of Earth's solar system. Its smooth, glowing hull had never seen battle, never faced real danger. It was built for exploration and diplomacy. Not warfare. Commander Tom Bradley stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, Earth's secret military outpost disguised as a research facility. Tom was a veteran of Earth's toughest military campaigns, a man who had survived everything from Arctic warfare to desert combat. But today, he wore a simple civilian uniform and practiced his most innocent smile. "Welcome to our system, Tom," said into the communication device, his voice warm and friendly. To the aliens, he sounded like a grateful survivor, thankful for rescue. In reality, Tom was calculating how quickly his hidden weapons could destroy the alien ship if needed. Behind Tom, Colonel Rachel Mitchell was busy at her control station.
Oh, Rachel.
Had short red hair and calm green eyes that had seen more combat than most generals. Her fingers moved across holographic displays, sending coded signals to ships throughout the solar system. To any alien watching, it looked like she was adjusting life support systems. Actually, Rachel was positioning 20 heavily armed human destroyers. These destroyers were painted to look like simple mining ships. They had fake cargo containers bolted to their hulls and broadcast signals that made them seem harmless. But underneath the disguises, each ship carried enough firepower to level a city. The aliens had no idea they were surrounded by Earth's most advanced war machines. The alien captain was a creature called Bubbleskin. Looked like a walking soap bubble with tiny arms and legs. Bubbleskin wore a thick environmental suit, because his species could only survive in perfectly controlled conditions. Even slight temperature changes could kill him. As his ship docked with Luna Station, Bubbleskin was already shaking with fear. Lieutenant Jennifer Parker met the alien delegation at the airlock. Jenny was from Florida, where she had grown up wrestling alligators and surfing during hurricanes. She was wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans, looking completely relaxed in the station's environment. To her, the temperature was perfectly comfortable. Bubbleskin stumbled out of his ship, his environmental suit beeping with warning signals. His instruments showed that the station's temperature was a terrifying 72 degrees Fahrenheit. On his home world, anything above 60 degrees was considered a deadly heat wave. The temperature readings, Bubbleskin stammered, his voice shaking through his suit speakers.
Oh.
"How do you survive in such heat? This is like standing inside a volcano." Jenny burst out laughing, a genuine sound of amusement that made the aliens jump in surprise. "Heat. This is 72 degrees. Perfect weather for a picnic." She took off her light jacket and tied it around her waist, showing that she was actually too warm, not too cold. The other aliens in Bubbleskin's team looked at each other in amazement. Dr. Softpedal, the expedition's medical officer, quickly scanned Jenny with his instruments. The readings showed that her body temperature was actually higher than the air around her, meaning she was generating heat instead of struggling to stay warm. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Softpedal, her internal. "Temperature would kill any civilized being. How is she even conscious?" Meanwhile, Dr. Robert Chen was setting up the cultural exchange presentation in the station's main conference room. Chen had been chosen specifically because his calm, scholarly appearance made him seem harmless. What the aliens didn't know was that Chen held 3 advanced degrees in military strategy and had designed some of Earth's most effective battle tactics in the security center. Major David Thompson and Staff Sergeant Kelly Adams watched everything through hidden cameras. They were recording every alien reaction, studying their weaknesses, and learning how to better deceive them. David was a specialist in psychological warfare, while Kelly was an expert in alien technology that Earth had been secretly studying for decades. "Look at them," Kelly whispered to David. "They're terrified of room temperature. What happens when they find out some humans actually enjoy winter camping in Antarctica?" David smiled grimly. "Let's hope they never have to find out the hard way." The aliens spent the next few hours touring Luna Station, amazed by everything they saw. Humans casually drinking hot coffee that would burn alien throats. Humans exercising in a gym where the physical activity would kill most galactic species. Humans eating spicy food that aliens considered chemical weapons. Every normal human activity looked like an impossible survival feat to the visiting aliens. They had no idea they were witnessing the galaxy's apex predators pretending to be helpless victims. The attack came without warning on a peaceful Tuesday morning. Pirates from the Skull Nebula had chosen the Centauri colony as their next target, expecting an easy raid against defenseless alien civilians. The colony was home to 3 million beings who had never experienced violence, living on a world where crime was nearly unknown. Captain Jake Wright was enjoying his morning coffee aboard the human ship. New York, when the emergency transmission burst through their communications. Jake was from Montana, a quiet man who had spent his childhood hunting bears with his grandfather. He set down his coffee cup and listened to the alien admiral's panicked voice describing the pirate attack. "Mayday, Mayday. This is Admiral Gentlewing of the Centauri Defense Force. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. Our shields are failing.
Yes.
We have no combat experience, requesting immediate assistance from any vessels in the area." Jake glanced at Lieutenant Patricia Rogers, who was already moving toward her weapons station. Patricia had grown up in Detroit, where she learned to fix car engines before she could read. She had personally modified every weapon system on their ship, turning what looked like a peaceful transport vessel into a floating fortress of destruction. "Permission to assist," Jake said calmly into his communicator, his voice showing no emotion. Inside, he was actually excited. Human military forces had been training for decades without any real combat opportunities. This would be their first chance to test their skills against actual enemies. "We cannot ask you to face such danger," Admiral Gentlewing responded, his voice trembling with fear. "These pirates have destroyed 2 of our defense platforms already. Their weapons are beyond anything we have seen. Save yourselves while you can." What Admiral Gentlewing didn't understand was that the human ship New York was carrying more firepower than the entire Centauri Defense Force combined. The ship looked like a simple cargo hauler, but underneath its peaceful exterior were weapons that could crack planets in half. Sergeant First Class James Miller was already suiting up in the fighter bay. James had been a test pilot before joining Earth's secret space program, someone who flew experimental aircraft that killed other pilots. He grinned as he climbed into his fighter craft, a machine that officially didn't exist according to galactic records. "Danger," James said to his wingman over the radio. "This is Tuesday." The pirate fleet consisted of 12 heavy cruisers, ships that had terrorized the Outer Rim for years. They were painted blood red with skull symbols, designed to strike fear into their victims. The pirate commander, Scarface the Terrible, had never lost a battle in 20 years of raiding. Commander Rachel Foster watched the tactical display from the bridge, her brilliant mind already calculating the perfect attack pattern. Rachel had graduated top of her class from Earth's War College, where she studied every military conflict in human history. She could see 17 different ways to destroy the pirate fleet, and she chose the most efficient one. "All units, execute pattern Delta 7, Rachel commanded. "Disable their engines first, then their weapons. We want prisoners for questioning." The battle began when James Miller's fighter squadron struck like lightning from 3 directions simultaneously. The pirates had been expecting frightened civilians. It's not professional human warriors flying ships that moved faster than their sensors could track. Chief Petty, Officer Andrew Davis, had spent months modifying the fighter engines, making them twice as fast as anything else in the galaxy. Andrew was from Texas, where he had learned engineering by rebuilding tornado-damaged equipment. His improvements turned the human fighters into nearly invisible death machines. The pirate ships opened fire with everything they had, filling space with deadly energy beams and explosive missiles. But the human fighters danced through the attacks like they were flying through a gentle rain shower. Not a single shot found its target. 17 minutes later, the battle was over. The pirate fleet floated helplessly in space, their engines destroyed and their weapons disabled. Not one pirate had died, exactly as Rachel had planned. Human military doctrine emphasized capturing enemies alive whenever possible. "Lieutenant." Colonel Brian Johnson's voice crackled over the communication system, reporting to Admiral Gentlewing with typical human understatement.
Irate.
"No human casualties? Rescue operations beginning now." The most amazing part came next. Corporal Maria Santos led the rescue teams aboard the damaged colony stations. Maria had grown up on a farm in Iowa, where she regularly carried 200-pound feed sacks like they were pillows. When she found alien survivors trapped under heavy debris, She simply lifted the wreckage with her bare hands. The aliens watched in shock as Maria casually picked up metal beams that would require their strongest machinery to move. She carried injured aliens to safety, creatures that weighed twice as much as she did, treating them like children who needed help. Across the galaxy, millions of beings watched the recorded footage of the battle. They saw humans treating impossible combat situations like routine training exercises. They saw human soldiers showing more concern for enemy pirates than the pirates had shown for innocent civilians. The galaxy was beginning to understand that Earth's distress call had been something much more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The secret message arrived at 3 a.m, Earth time. General William Hayes was sleeping peacefully in his quarters when the emergency alert woke him up. William was Lisa's father, the same Lisa who had recorded the fake distress call months earlier. Unlike his daughter, William had gray hair and tired eyes from decades of military service. He had fought in every major conflict Earth had seen in the past 30 years. Commander Nicole Thompson stood waiting in the secure briefing room when William arrived. Nicole was a small woman with sharp eyes who specialized in intelligence gathering. She had spent the last 5 years learning alien languages and breaking their communication codes. Tonight, her face showed the kind of worry that made generals lose sleep. "Sir, we have a problem," Nicole said, handing him a datapad filled with intercepted alien communications. "Lieutenant Samuel Green's cyber warfare unit has been monitoring Galactic Council communications. They're not planning to help us anymore." William read the translated alien messages with growing concern. Samuel Green was Earth's best computer expert, a young man from California who could hack into any system in the galaxy. His team had been secretly listening to alien conversations for months, and what they had discovered was terrifying. The Galactic Council had met in emergency session after watching humans defeat the pirates at Centauri Colony. The alien leaders were no longer seeing humans as helpless victims who needed rescue. Instead, they were starting to understand that humans might be the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. They're planning a preemptive strike, Nicole reported as Admiral Charles Parker and General Susan Moore entered the briefing room. Charles was Earth's naval commander, a tough man from Boston who had served on submarines before joining the space program. Susan was the head of Earth's ground forces, someone who had survived combat on every continent. The intercepted messages painted a clear picture. The alien leaders were scared. They'd watched one human ship destroy an entire pirate fleet without taking any damage. They had seen humans treating deadly combat like a casual training exercise. Most frightening of all, they had realized that Earth's mining ships were actually military vessels in disguise. "How long do we have?" asked Colonel Timothy Wilson, Earth's intelligence chief. Timothy had spent his career studying enemy tactics and planning defensive strategies. He could read the signs of an incoming attack better than anyone. Major Linda Jackson, Earth's top strategic analyst, had been running computer simulations all night. Linda was from Oregon, where she had learned to think 3 steps ahead by playing chess with her grandfather. Her analysis showed that the aliens were moving fast. 6 months, maybe less, Linda replied, pointing to star charts showing alien fleet movements. They're gathering ships from across their territory. This won't be a small diplomatic mission. They're preparing for war. The irony was almost funny if it wasn't so dangerous. The Galactic Council thought they were planning to attack a dying species that barely survived on a hostile planet. They had no idea they were preparing to face the descendants of Earth's greatest military minds. Captain Stephen Roberts was already working in the communications center, sending coded messages. 2 human ships scattered throughout the solar system. Stephen was from Alaska, where he had learned to stay calm under pressure during long Arctic nights. His job was coordinating Earth's hidden fleet. For decades, humans had been building warships in secret. They disguised the construction as asteroid mining operations, hiding massive shipyards in the outer solar system where alien sensors couldn't detect them. What looked like industrial facilities were actually the most advanced military production centers ever created. Commander Ayanna Foster was coordinating with Rear Admiral Kevin Martinez to position humanity's true military assets. Diana had grown. Up in Nevada, where her father taught her that the best defense was being prepared for anything. Kevin was from Florida, a naval officer who understood the importance of controlling space, the same way ancient navies controlled the oceans. Numbers were staggering. Earth's secret fleet contained over 2,000 warships, each one more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. Human technology had been developed specifically for warfare, while alien technology was designed for peaceful exploration. It was like comparing a sword to a butter knife, but the real advantage wasn't in ships or weapons. It was in the human mind. Every human military officer had studied thousands of years of warfare. They knew tactics that aliens couldn't even imagine, understood concepts like deception, surprise attacks, and psychological warfare that peaceful, alien species had never needed to learn. The aliens were walking into a trap, and they didn't even know it. They thought they were hunting a wounded animal. Instead, they were about to face Earth's apex predators at their most dangerous moment. William. Hayes looked around the room at his officers and smiled grimly. It was time to show the galaxy what humans were really capable of. The moment had finally arrived. Admiral Frank Mitchell stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Washington, watching as the alien pacification fleet approached Earth's outer defenses. Frank was Rachel's uncle, a career military man who had spent 40 years preparing for this exact scenario. His weathered hands gripped the command rail as he watched 50 alien warships moving in perfect formation toward what they believed was a helpless planet. The alien fleet was impressive by galactic standards. Each ship was twice the size of anything humans had publicly revealed, armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities. The fleet commander, Admiral Softshell, felt confident as he approached the primitive Earth system. His intelligence reports showed that humans barely had space travel capability. What Admiral Softshell didn't know was that he was flying directly into the most sophisticated military trap in galactic history. All ships prepare for simultaneous. To cloak, Frank commanded quietly into his headset. Round him, the bridge crew worked with the calm efficiency of people who had trained for this moment their entire careers. Captain Mary Johnson coordinated fleet movements from her station, her fingers dancing across holographic displays that showed the positions of 2,000 hidden human warships. Commander Scott Anderson handled tactical formations from his position near the main view screen. Scott had grown up in Colorado, where his grandfather taught him that mountains could hide entire armies if you knew how to use them properly. The asteroid belt around Earth's solar system had been hiding the largest military fleet in galactic history. The alien ships moved closer, their sensors detecting only empty space and a few scattered mining operations. Admiral Softshell was reviewing his attack plans when reality shattered around him like broken glass. 2,000 human vessels decloaked simultaneously, appearing from nowhere in perfect battle formation. They surrounded the alien fleet from every possible direction, a three-dimensional cage of Earth's most advanced warships. Each human vessel was sleek, deadly, and built specifically for combat. "This is Admiral Mitchell," Frank broadcasted calmly across all frequencies. His voice carried the authority of someone who had never lost a battle. "You came to our home with weapons drawn." The alien bridge erupted in panic. Admiral Softshell's tactical officer was screaming about impossible sensor readings. Oda's weapons. Officer reported that they were surrounded by ships that didn't exist in any galactic database. His communication officer could barely speak through his terror. Frank continued speaking. "While his crew coordinated the massive fleet with perfect precision, we offer you one chance. Stand down, return home, and we'll discuss this like civilized beings." Lieutenant Colonel Barbara Lewis was already preparing humanitarian aid stations throughout the human fleet. Barbara had served as a combat medic in Earth's toughest conflicts, someone who believed in helping enemies after defeating them. She knew that many alien ships would suffer casualties from the shock of facing humanity's true military power. The silence stretched for long minutes as Admiral Softshell tried to understand what had happened. His 50 ships, which had seemed so powerful an hour ago, now looked like toys surrounded by giants. Every human vessel was pointing weapons at his fleet that could vaporize his ships in seconds. Finally, Admiral Softshell found his voice. "Your distress call, ... It was a deception." Colonel Jason Taylor smiled grimly from the tactical station. Jason was from Louisiana, where his family had survived hurricanes by being tougher than the storms that tried to kill them. He had helped plan this entire operation from the beginning. No deception, Jason replied over the open channel. We really were dying, from boredom. Thanks for giving us something interesting to do. The truth hit the alien admiral like a physical blow. Earth's desperate plea for help had been a lie designed to study galactic military capabilities. The helpless humans had been preparing for war while pretending to be victims. Every interaction between humans and aliens had been carefully calculated to hide humanity's true strength, faced with impossible odds and the realization that they had been completely outmaneuvered. Admiral Softshell ordered his fleet to retreat. His ships turned and fled to war at the edge of the solar system, their crews traumatized by the encounter with Earth's hidden armada as the alien fleet disappeared into hyperspace. Captain Daniel White began the most important work of all. Daniel was a diplomat as well as a military officer, someone who understood that winning a battle was only the beginning. He started coordinating with Major Helen Adams to establish the new diplomatic protocols that would reshape the galaxy forever. Helen was an expert in interspecies relations, someone who had studied alien psychology for decades. She knew that the galaxy would never be the same after today. The old Galactic Council, based on the idea that all species were peaceful and weak, would have to be completely restructured. Earth had revealed itself as the galaxy's apex predator. Species and every alien civilization would have to adjust to that reality. Some would welcome human protection from pirates and other threats. Others would fear human expansion and try to form defensive alliances. But one thing was certain. The Deathworlders hadn't just survived their world of horrors. They had used Earth's challenges to forge themselves into the galaxy's protectors, whether the galaxy wanted protection or not. The age of human dominance in space had begun. The universe would never be peaceful again. The greatest military deception in history was finally complete. And humanity had won without firing a single shot. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.